All right, welcome back. On the bench this morning, we've got a President Richard. I know in the past we did a little, just had a couple videos on these and talked about them a little bit, and so it's been a while. We've got probably and I'm not a big box store. I'm not a big seller. I don't have thousands of radios on the shelf to sell, so I've probably got a half a dozen of these running around locally right now, and probably 4 or 5 out elsewhere in the country. And my whole point is that I'm getting very, very good reports on these radios. Okay, this radio's going out Monday to a gentleman locally here who's heard a few of them with his trucking buddies. Heard them talking, and he just loves the way the radio sounds. Everybody's really liking them. On the bench, I'm going to be showing you the difference between the electric mic that comes with the radio and just your regular Dynamic. Okay. President does have what they call a Digimic. It's their version of a noise canceling microphone. Very, very good mic. Several of my customers are using them, and everybody's saying that they're sounding really mint. The only complaint is, and it's a little silly, but they complain that the push to talk button is green instead of black. So maybe we'll make a suggestion to President to change that up. But that's their colors, black and green. So that's just the way it is. If you might have to just swallow your pride a little bit if how you feel about that color scheme doesn't suit you. Swallow your pride and go with what sounds good. Performance is much more important than what color the push to talk button is. But anyway, they're still using them and they like them, so everything's good there. So anyway, so I'm just going to show you the performance of this radio. And another thing I just want to touch base on, we've kind of mentioned it in a few videos, but haven't done anything with it. But I've had a lot of discussions with the people that I work with and other customers. We've had people had problems with their equipment due to their watt meters. Okay, I don't know why this isn't more of a discussion, but I really haven't seen a lot of discussion on this. And if I'm wrong, please comment and give me your opinion. But there is a huge difference between your watt meters, your Bird watt meters, your Dozy meters, your Dahua, my service monitor. Okay, everything shows a little inaccuracy. Okay, my service monitor matches up with my 10 watt slug that I've got in my Bird meter, right on the money. The other Bird meter's got a 50 watt slug in it. In those lower power settings, not so accurate. Only off by about a watt, but it's still not right on the money. And that's due to the slugs themselves and variations in, well, the Birds, it's the slugs. When it comes to the Dozies and the Dahuas, it's definitely the more inexpensive meters. And my whole point is if you get a radio and or an amplifier and it was set up by somebody using Bird meters, okay, plenty of people do it. They marry, it's always best to marry your radio to the amp so you get it exactly where you want it. Just don't hook them up and start cranking power up. This is why they blow up. Okay, this is why people, whether it be whoever built. Okay, there's multiple people that build amplifiers, classy amplifiers. They bias them, they put delays in them for sideband, and that goes right along with your RM Italy amplifiers. Okay, they all work good for what they're designed to do. But the biggest problem is when somebody's trying to push more, okay? Pushing everything up against the red line. I talk about this all the time, even with the radios. You don't have to push them up against the red line. What you gain in output is very insignificant to what you're losing in money when you blow the thing up. Okay, so we'll show you the tune on the radio, which is pretty basic. You've seen it a million times, and then I'll just run through some of the meters and the meter readings, what we get. I'll show you my service monitor compared to my 10-watt slug in my bird meter, and then we'll show you what my cross needle Dahua does compared to those. It's pretty significant, especially when it comes to PEP part of it. Now I just use the cross needle for SWR. I don't use it for any type of power readings, but a lot of people do. And if you get a system set up for you, or you set it up yourself, and you're not seeing what either the tech told you it was running at, or what you've read online, what you've seen on YouTube videos, etc., and you keep cranking the power to meet those standards, I guess you could call it, this is when you start blowing pills up or popping MOSFETs out of an Aram Italy, or whatever the case may be. So just want to touch a little on that, just to give everybody an idea of what what actually goes on. So we'll just run through the radio real quick, okay? These radios tune in very, very, very well. These are very nice, robust radios. What you're going to notice, I'm just going to show you the difference between a tone and a microphone, okay? So a lot of your radios out there have what they call overshoot, okay? It's the modulation circuit, can't keep up with your voice, and it can't hold it back. The limiters can't hold it back, and you get overshoot, okay? These President radios don't have that, okay? What you put in for a tone is the exact same as what the microphone does, and it's right up there with these. It's right up there at 45 watts all day long, steady, okay? Tone or no tone. So this is what makes these radios sound so good, because they're really designed very, very well. And like I said, all the reports I'm getting from all my local guys, they're loving them. They're a little small. They're not that big radio, but they definitely have the big radio sound. They're built very well. They have an awesome warranty behind them. The people communicate, unlike other radio manufacturers that just do not communicate for shit, I'm sorry to say. You can't get them to answer emails. You can't get them to answer the phone. They lie to you. They tell you this and that and the other thing, and it's pretty sad. But anyway, President is not that way. That just be another subject for another day. Anyway, so I'll show you what the radio's doing, and then we'll get into the meter thing. So we've got this thing set up for about 1.5 watts on low and about 9 on the high side. Okay, that's where it comes in. That's where you get your best dynamic range out of the radio to make it sound good and robust, unlike some of the wet noodle radios that certain people are tuning and claiming that they do everything by the book. Whatever. So we're just going to show you your 9-watt dead key. Okay, that's a 9-watt dead key right there, and there's your tone coming in really, really nice. Okay, I'm just going to brighten this up for you a little bit just so you can see, because we know that the Queen is going to claim that is pinching off. Okay, that is not pinching off. That's right down. That's saying 102, but those valleys are right there at 100%, and we can show you that just by showing you the sinusoidal waveform. Okay, so just so some of you that don't know, this valley, this negative right here is this negative right here, okay, and that positive, okay, perfectly round. Okay, you can zoom right in, you can see everything is right where it's supposed to be. Okay, looking real good. The only reason that looks like it's pinched is because it's so bright. Okay, it's just the brightness. If we back that down, you can see that it's not pinched off. So he can say what he wants to say about that, but this radio is tuned right up to the edge, perfect performance, okay? So we'll show you what it looks like on the spectrum analyzer real quick. We're out 20K, okay? Channel above and channel below. All these spurs, it's your center frequency. These are your side bands. All these spurs are down 25, 30, 40, 50 dB down, which is anywhere from 1,000 to 100,000 times less the power. The further you go down in dB, like minus 50 would be 100,000 times less power. 30 dB down, I believe, is like 1,000 times less the power. So nothing that's going to affect anything. And just for the hell of it, we'll show you what the harmonics are out at 150 megahertz. Your first and second harmonics under modulation, okay? Down in the mud, not even affecting anything. We'll shut the modulation off, they disappear, okay? So these radios are very, very, very clean radios and good talkers. You know, I know that the size might scare you. The menu, that's another thing. These are menu-driven radios. Just touch on this real quick. They are menu-driven. Only for specific settings. Once you get those settings set up to your liking, you never have to go back into the menu and touch it again. Set it and forget it, okay? When it comes to like echo, for example, you set the echo up in the menu. Once you get it to where everybody says it sounds good, you leave it, you exit the menu. You don't have to worry about hitting the knobs and setting it off in the wrong direction so that people are like, hey, your echo sounds like shit, you know? And you just turn it on and off right here, okay? So anyway, we'll show you what she's doing for power, and then we'll show you some of the inaccuracies of the meters. And you're going to see that right here. So it's a 10 watt slug on the left, 50 watt slug on the right, okay? The 10 watt obviously is more accurate with the lower power settings than the 50 watt slug, and or if you jumped up to 100 or a 250, it's not going to read that 10 watt or that 9 watt setting as accurate as the 10 watt slug will read it. So you get a little little inaccuracies there. Pretty basic, but anyway, just to show you, okay? And with these, it's not really all that bad. Like I said, it's when you run into the dozies and the Dowas, you have to be pretty careful with what you set your power settings at, because you can definitely blow up your equipment if things don't match up, and you want them to match up from what, like I said, what your tech or what you see on YouTube or whatever the case may be. You definitely could run into some problems by trying to readjust. So you're really better off going with whatever. For example, if I sold you a radio and an amplifier, I don't sell amplifiers, but if I set one up for you and you got it home and it didn't match what I showed on my equipment, and then you start cranking things up, you're going to run into problems. It's that simple. Pretty basic. So we'll start off with the low dead key, okay? That's about a watt and just a little over a watt, okay? So the service monitor matches my 10 watt slug. Service monitor, and I'll show it to you, is reading about 1.3, okay? That's reading about 1.3. I mean, within a hundredth of a watt, okay? So just to show you that that's all the same, we'll get off the bird meters. We'll go over to the service monitor. I'm just rehooking the radio up to the service monitor. That's all I'm doing right now. And we'll show you what it's doing for power, okay? Just so you know. 1.37, so 1.4, so almost a watt and a half. And that's pretty much where that 10 watt slug is showing us, okay? So get out of here. Back to the birds, okay? So anyway, there's your watt and a half on low, and then we'll crank it up And we're just about, if you want to get nitpicky, 9 1/10. 9 watts. And you can see on the 50 watt slug, we're up there about 11. But let me show you, I'm just going to show you how sensitive one is to the other when it comes to the power adjustment. So if you watch, we're going to go from 9 well, that's 8. We went down 1 watt, and the 50 watt slug went down about 3/4 of a watt. Okay, so, and then as you get going down, let's go down to 5. So 5 is reading 6. Okay, so it doesn't. What I'm trying to get at is the 10 watt slug will move a little bit further when you're moving the power setting than the 50 watt slug will. Okay, so there's a little buffer there, I guess you could call it. So anyway, we'll show you what she's doing for power. Get the mic gain up, and this is with a dynamic microphone. So there's your 9 watts. Hello, breaker, audio, check 1 2 1 2, break, audio. So about 45 watts. Okay, and that's with the microphone. We'll throw a tone into it. We'll get that 9 watt dead key, and we'll throw a tone into it. And that right there is, you can hear the tone, and that's the proper tone for President radios. It's a little different than the rest of them. Okay, if you're going to do things by the book and claim that you do things by the book, be sure that you use the proper tone, the proper frequency to feed into the radio. Okay, because that antiquated equipment is not the proper equipment to use for President radios. And some of the Strykers, they have a different setting. So anyway, it's not a big difference, but some people claim that they do everything by the book, and if you're going to do it by the book, do it by the book. Don't claim that you do it by the book and not do it by the book. So anyway, so as you just saw, the microphone and the tone giving out the same amount of power. That is good audio right there, okay? If you saw when we were on the scope, if you saw it was a little bit over that one division up and one division down, showing you a little over a 4-to-1 ratio, which we're at 9 watts, swinging out to 45. So a little over a 4-to-1. So that's, it's not super duper audio, but the radio definitely does have a good little punch to it. So anyway, so let's get into the meters. I just showed you what, basically what goes on with the birds, and we showed you that the 10 watt slug was matching the service monitor. Okay, so I got more trust in that in the lower settings, because I wouldn't put any more than that into that service monitor, end up damaging it. So that's pretty accurate right there. Now what I want to show you is the Dahua. Okay, so we'll get up here. This is the cross needle Dahua. Okay, it's in peak mode on the 20 watt setting. Okay, we're going to start off with the radio on low. You remember that was 1.5 watts, right? So if you've got one of these meters and somebody tells you that they set the radio up at 1.5 watts or 2 watts, and you get this, hold on, what am I doing? Oh, I got to go out to my antenna. I'm sorry, my mistake. Okay, we're out on the antenna now. Okay, so you get that radio, and you get that amplifier, whatever the case may be, because this thing goes up to 2,000, right? So there's your 1.5 watts, 1/2 watt. Okay, it's reading 1/2 watt. Let's go up full power. Okay. You remember 9 watts on the Bird, 7 watts on the Dahua. So now somebody who's going to take it upon themselves and get into a radio and start cranking it up because it doesn't read accurate, then this is where the problems begin. And here's the big one right here. So we're in peak mode on the Dahua. We're on a 20 watt slug. You saw the radio was doing 45 with a tone, 45 with the microphone. Let's see what this shows us for peak power. Hello, audio check 1 2. Hello, audio check 1 2 1 2. Audio, barely bending that 20. Hello, audio check 1 2 1 2 1 2. More like hanging down there around 14 15. Hello, showing 20. Okay, compared to 40 on the birds. All right, that's where the problem comes in, when you have the less, the more inexpensive meters just aren't as accurate. It's you've got your birds, they're hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and then you jump up to some of these new digital meters that are out here that are $500, $600, $700. Those are probably even more accurate than a bird meter. I don't know, I don't own one. But people seem to like them. They're using them, and they seem pretty accurate. Just a word to the wise: just be careful when you get a radio and you're using your dozy meter or your Daiwa meter or whatever you might be using, MFJ, whatever you're using. just be careful on how you set things up or how you're going to start tweaking things after you get them. Actually, some of the MFJ meters, people tell me that they're very, very accurate. Some of them not so. But anyway, just be careful, okay? And that's it. I hope you got something out of that. Again, these President radios are awesome radios. If anybody needs one, you can contact us. All my information's there on Facebook and on YouTube. Phone number 603-732-3175. We'll gladly set you up with any radio that you want. But if you're interested in one of these, definitely give us a call. We've got a few in stock. I'm not a big box dealer. I don't claim to have cases and cases of radios. I keep a few of everything in stock. When I get enough down on stock to place an order, I place an order. Like I said, I'm just a little guy, so it is what it is. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll catch you on the next one.